Talk to the queen of the roast.
Fred Beasley.
Giants and Niners pre- and post-game. She did an excellent job in Las Vegas. Exceptional job in Las Vegas. And it was great to catch up with her at the Super Bowl. Laura Britt. We love Laura here on the roast. Laura, sorry you had to wait on hold for so long. How you doing this morning? Do you have your voice back?
It's on its way back. The smoke in the casinos really, in my voice, they don't really get along that well.
You know what, Laura, let me give you a tip. I said this to these guys. They thought I was crazy. And then a day later, I was the smart one. First thing I do when I touch down in Vegas, I go straight to the CVS. I go get Mucinex drops and a Mucinex bottle because I don't smoke. And when I walk through any of the casinos, it's just like coated cigar and cigarette smoke in my throat. It drives me crazy. Go straight to the Mucinex bottle next time.
Well, Joe, where were you 8 days ago, 10 days ago? I needed that tip a long time ago.
Sorry.
Now I know.
Yeah,
I know.
You were struggling Super Bowl Sunday. I'm not going to lie.
Oh,
it was struggling, but
I was.
You powered through it. And you know what?
Worse than me getting hit in the nose?
Oh, but we know you get it. Laura, real quick, not only did Shasky get hit in the nose, but do you know on Monday, he goes, my foot hurts. I go, how? Because my foot was tapping the entire Super Bowl from nervous energy. I've never heard.
Wow.
I tap my foot all the time.
Serious.
I tap my foot every show. I'm always doing something. I had nervous energy everywhere. I'm like, only Shasky can get injured by tapping his foot on the ground over and over.
And with his sunglasses at the Super Bowl. Not his fault,
It's
by the way.
not.
Not his fault.
Not his fault.
Thank
not
you.
His fault.
It's
not his
not.
fault.
I am impressed with how much I was listening to you guys yesterday.
Oh, gosh.
And your callers. And I think that you're much more reasonable today. So,
Or do
I'm
you
happy
really?
for you guys
Have
about
you
that.
listened to the
I
last
have.
hour? Have you listened to the last hour, Laura?
Yes.
We were screaming and yelling. We're out of our
Well, you
minds right
sound
now.
a lot more reasonable than yesterday. Everyone was fiery yesterday, and I get it. You know what I appreciate, what I take away from that, is that this fan base is really passionate.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. So I think that some of the takes are not just from you guys. You guys have been pretty rational, but some people are just completely off the rocker right now. And I get it because it hurts.
What about Shasky and his internet rent? Is he off his rocker?
No.
And on the
I
airplane?
actually am totally in agreement with
Oh,
Shasky on the internet situation. And by the way, where are you going to Pete's where you can get a $2 coffee? Well, I guess you're getting a coffee, not a latte. Maybe
Well,
that's my
you know,
Yeah,
fault.
yeah.
well, it also Pete sent this to the
I go
Super
and
Bowl,
I
so
gotta get
you got to drop our names at Pete's.
to get my latte.
Well, you
It's
got to drop our
expensive.
names, Laura. You got to drop our names at Pete's.
Well,
you know, Pete
apparently
sent this to
I
the
do.
Super Bowl. Shout out
I'll
Vanessa.
try that next time.
All right, should do
Hey,
that.
Laura. What part of that game irks you the most 5-6 days later?
Leaving too much time for Patrick Mahomes at the end of the game. That's it for me. There were mistakes that happen, and I know people say, the muffed punt, whatever. None of that is on purpose. And I get, yes, you need to clean things up. I get that. But that was a clear accident. I'm not blaming that. I mean, I think you can go back to Christian McCaffrey fumbling. Christian McCaffrey never fumbled.
Oh, no.
Okay? He never fumbled. It's just a mistake. It's a mistake. Things like that are going to happen throughout a game. And, I don't know where you go back. I haven't been able to go back and pinpoint, how can you extend a drive to not give Patrick Mahomes too much time left at the end of the game. That's when I knew, I don't care the game was tied, it goes into overtime. I knew at that moment that the Niners weren't going to win.
Yeah.
You cannot give him time at the end of a game. You can't. I don't care how good your defense is. I don't care. Patrick Mahomes, you can't give him time. You can't give Tom Brady time.
Right.
You can't give Aaron Rodgers. You can't give the all-time great quarterback time at the end of a game. And that, I think they knew it at that point too.
Yeah.
And that's what kills you in overtime is you lose that little bit of faith. And I get the game has to be played on the field, but I've seen it across too many sports. I see it I saw it in the Giants season last year. Yeah, they were quote unquote in the playoffs until the end, had a shot, had a long shot, had a great shot, had a terrible shot, but they were in you lose that faith, and there's nothing that you can do. Also, I do want to give you guys a little bit, you've been playing this Travis Kelce laughing moment a lot. That's Travis Kelce. He's laughing at you. I don't know. I'm not falling for that.
What do you mean?
He's on a podcast. That's what him and his brother get paid to do.
But let me say this, Laura. Let me say this about that. If you watch it, I know you watch Inside the NFL and all, their special teams coach, all their coaches, their players, They were like, oh, my God, they're taking the ball first. We would have kicked. And I think it's just more so, too, that it felt like Kansas City was more buttoned up about a potential overtime. They were prepared for every situation in this football game where we look like, well, okay, the analytics, we're thinking about a third possession in overtime. To your point that, hey, once we got to overtime, you were like, yo, Kansas City is winning. Why was Kyle Shanahan thinking about a third possession in overtime? That didn't make any sense to me, the whole analytical aspect of that.
But it wasn't that they didn't think about it. You can be unhappy with the decision that he made, and I get some of the players might not have known. Absolutely, hindsight's 20/20. The players need to know, everybody needs to know the rules, but the players aren't the one making the call. It's the head coach that's making the call, and he knew the rules, and he made a justified, in his mind, decision. We can all look back at the game and how it went and say, they shouldn't have done that. Of course you don't want to kick a field goal. They got into a crappy situation. Yeah. What else are you going to do? It's how it all ended up playing out. So I don't knock Kyle Shanahan for talking to his analytics team and deciding that that was the best decision for them at the moment. If it ends up coming to a third possession, we'd be praising Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah. Let me ask you this one, Laura. You were around a team with Jimmy G, and I'm sure you had mixed feelings, like as I did with Jimmy G. Like you saw the value, but then you also saw some of the shortcomings, and no one thought he was the worst player, but you didn't also think that he was like the best player in the world where he could help win you certain games that are out there. We've got a decision coming up here. Not this year. This year he's making $900,000, but after the year on Brock Purdy. I already heard Matt Barrow say, like, hey, big money, big money. I'm like, pump the brakes here. Let's see how this year plays out, and then I'll have a better feel for, what I'm willing to give up. But if you ask me today, I would say no. I'm not ready to give Brock Purdy $40-50 million a year guaranteed at the sacrifice of CMC and Ayuk or Debo and Kittle or something like that, because that's what it would cost you in terms of your offensive weaponry. What are your feelings today?
I think Brock Purdy, I had a lot more confidence in his ability than when watching Jimmy Garoppolo.
I agree.
There's no doubt about that. When Jimmy Garoppolo was under center for the Niners, I heard one of your callers say, I'm just so disappointed. I just feel like, they're right there. And then it's so I felt like every time, every game he played in, you were just waiting for the big interception. You were waiting for the big mistake. I don't get that sense with Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy is a really talented quarterback. And he got this team, along with the Christian McCaffrey and the rest of the team. It's not just one player, as we all know. This is his second season in the NFL. And he went to the Super Bowl. So I think you should be a little bit more excited about Brock Purdy than you are.
What's his ceiling, Laura? What do you think his ceiling is?
Well, he went to the Super Bowl. So do you want it to, of course, winning the Super Bowl would be his ceiling, and that's everybody's ceiling. But I think he can actually do it.
Yeah, I hear you on that one. Listen, I like Brock a lot. But when I watch these playoff games,
you want to go give up a bunch of draft picks and go draft a quarterback that you don't is another question. We all know the draft is a crapshoot.
No doubt about it. I still think you draft a quarterback just in case because of the injury history with Brock Purdy.
Well,
I think nobody's talking about it. Yeah, I like drafting quarterbacks all the time. But I do think the last two games, and even in the postseason, for 3 quarters of his Green Bay, he looked more like Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, he came back in the fourth quarter. He gets a lot of credit for that. Detroit, first half, he looked a lot like Jimmy Garoppolo in that first half against Detroit. Now, they came back from 17 down. He gets a lot of credit for that. But in that Super Bowl, you saw how great Mahomes was, and I saw Brock Purdy look good. But to win the Super Bowl, you almost have to be great.
Everyone looks good compared to Patrick Mahomes.
No. Josh Allen looked great. Josh Allen looked great in that game in Buffalo. Josh Allen looked great in Buffalo.
He played him to his equal.
He played him to his equal, and he has in the playoffs. Now, Mahomes has had the upper hand. Joe Burrow has looked great against Patrick Mahomes.
Both times.
If won at Arrowhead Stadium, it could have won again there against them. Brock Purdy downfield passing, the vertical passing game just felt like it was non-existent, and Kansas City said, we dare you to throw the ball down the field. Now, maybe the receivers are getting a lot of separation. That could be one thing. But Brock Purdy looked very ordinary in that Super Bowl, Laura. And that's just my opinion.
I just think he took care of the football. And you can't ask too, like, he's not throwing interceptions.
I hear you.
It's true.
Those are very valuable pieces. Now, if he comes out and throws 3 picks in the Super Bowl, I might be on board with what you're saying. But where are you going to find Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes Where are you going to go find? Where are you going to find Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, it's not
Where
easy.
are you going to find him?
It's not easy.
So you have to take a chance, and really you don't know what a quarterback's going to be until they've been in the league for a few years, and those are just the facts. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is an anomaly, but you don't know what you're going to get until a guy's been in the league for a few years, and then by that time they're getting paid by their team. So all you can do is do an educated guess in the draft, because we've seen it too many times, and get what you get. And I think Brock Purdy, I think the slander of Brock Purdy right now is too much. I think he's a really great quarterback. He's very young. He's young in his career. He's a young player. I've seen Kyle Shanahan trust him like you haven't seen him trust other quarterbacks. And I also think, just to bring everyone back to reality, losing in the Super Bowl is awful. I think it's worse than losing in any other area. In the NFC Championship game, you just want to make it to the Super Bowl. Losing in the Super Bowl is terrible. And to do it in the way the Niners have done it and haven't won a Super Bowl since 1994, and they've gone 3 times since then and lost every single time, it's terrible. But Kyle Shanahan has been coaching in this league for 7 seasons. He has an 8-3 record in the postseason. He's taken the Niners to the NFC Championship game 4 times, and they've gone to 2 Super Bowls. I get it. It stings. But check your rationality some. Andy Reid did not win his first Super Bowl until he was 60 years old. 60 years old. He started being an NFL head coach in 1999. So it doesn't come easy. You're going to go. You're going to lose. You've got to learn. And I get that everyone's saying Kyle Shanahan can't get over the hump. But Andy Reid struck gold with his magic that he's got in Kansas City. He's a great head coach as well. I'm not taking that away from him. He's got a great quarterback, and he's a great head coach. But Kyle Shanahan, I would say, is a great head coach too.
I would agree. I would agree with that. All right, before you get on out of here, Laura, because I'm loving this conversation. We got to do more of this. 2 things. First one, next Saturday, Kimball. All right, bring the kids out. You're more than welcome. I'll be out there emceeing SFYBL. It's baseball, pony league out here for all the kids. There'll be tons of kids out there, tons of families. The mayor's going to be out there. Joe Shasky, yours truly, emceeing.
Wow, getting the mayor out?
Yes.
Wow.
This is like my 3rd or 4th year doing this.
I will be in Scottsdale next time.
Well, speaking of that,
oh gosh,
Jorge Soler. Huh? I'm excited.
I get everyone's disappointed with how free agency went this offseason. The hot stove was very ice cold. I think people should be excited about Jorge Soler.
I am.
The stove didn't work, Laura.
Let her cook.
I'm trying to bring everyone's rationale up. Let's bring the energy up a little bit.
You're
yes,
so positive,
you don't
Laura.
get Shohei Ohtani. You don't get Yamamoto. The Giants need a bat. They got a bat. And it's not the perfect bat. It's not the one every single Giants fan wanted. What more can the Giants do right now? I think this is a really good addition. I think Jorge Soler is a really good addition.
I'm with you. Here's my barometer for the Giants this year. I've wanted them to play the young guys all year, and we'll move off this immediately. But I get to finally see Luciano. I want to see Schmidt. I don't want to see them bring in Chapman. I want to see Schmidt, either he sinks or he succeeds. I want to see him play. I want to see Tyro. I want to see what Jung-Hoo Lee does in center field. I am very excited, and obviously Patrick Bailey. I'm excited to see Harrison. I want to see Wisenhunt. Let the young guys play. Even if they win 72 games and I get 150 of the young guys, I'm all in. I'm all in.
Do you think that most people feel that way? Because I don't think so. I think at the beginning of the season people say that, and then they're like, another losing season, but you get to see a lot of young guys. I just don't get that.
Yeah, but 09, I would say this. 09, I knew we were cooking something special because we had Lincecum. You saw Sanchez. Matt Cain was developing. They won more games. And Pablo came out of nowhere. And I felt so optimistic for 2010, not knowing they would do what they did. But yes, I do. I actually do. I think we're more sophisticated. We understand where we're at. We're the clear-cut 3 or 4 in this division. Develop. This is not our time to
Just
win a
wait till the
championship.
Giants start the season off 30-17. And the expectations get raised.
Yeah, but if you see flashes from Luciano, we'll be good.
I'm kidding. No, I do want to see the young guys, Laura.
I will say I'm consistently impressed. I got the chance at Giants Fan Fest in Napa to chat with Patrick Bailey for a little while. First off, he's put on 20 or 30 pounds.
Good pounds?
Is that a
not,
good
not
thing?
the jock pounds.
Yes.
right?
Like
It's not Jock
those are-
Peterson
No.
crushing the
No,
buffet.
these are pounds we discussed, and that I'm thinking him and the staff discussed, and he looks great. He's just such a level-headed guy. This is who the Giants were hoping Joey Bart would be, and they get Patrick Bailey, and Patrick Bailey is the guy you want as the anchor.
Joey Bart's still on the roster, Laura.
Yeah,
He's still on the
Him,
roster.
Slates.
He's still on the roster 7 years later.
Conforto,
When he drafted in 2017.
JD
Oh my God.
We got them all. We're going to platoon
man.
by
Laura,
inning.
thank you for bringing some rationale or
I
some
love you,
level-headed
Laura.
takes today. Even though I don't agree with you, Laura, and I feel like screaming at you, but I can't because you're the queen of the roast, and we love you.
I will always be here for you guys to bring you back down to reality.
We
I
need
like
our,
it.
Laura, real
like
quick.
it.
A lot of people, they've been coming up to Shasky and I said, you guys are like our therapy. It's been therapeutic. You're our Dr. Melfi. Well, I think Shasky and I need our Dr. Melfi.
Yes.
And I think you're that person.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watched The Sopranos, but Dr. Melfi was the psychiatrist of Tony Soprano.
Yeah.
And I think you are Dr. Melfi.
I'm happy to hold that role for you guys.
I like it.
Nothing makes me happier.
Laura, you're
I
great.
like it.
Have fun at Scottsdale.
I'm Tony. You're someone else. You can be
I'll
Chris.
talk to you guys soon.
See you,
All right,
Laura.
Laura. The fact that she listens to the psychopaths has been listening. She goes, we've been more reasonable today. We've been screaming left and right for the last hour.